Now I've got another good one to go over here where I had a hand with ace jack offsuit versus jack 10 suited. You are not going to want to miss. Also, this is going to run for about 15 to 20 minutes. A lot of interesting spots, and I kind of like to break down my thought process of why I make some of the plays I make. Of course, I would recommend grabbing a bottle of water, some Gatorade, maybe some coffee, and sitting back and kind of getting ready for this. Also, if you guys are not in our community yet, I don't know why you're not in it. You can talk with me, one-on-one, other high-level members, a lot of good stuff in there. Plus, if you're just trying to take things a little bit more serious, get to that next level, I would highly recommend that. Also, if you could tap the like and, let's get right into this. And, every time we get into one of these sessions, I say that I don't really have a strategy. It's more about outplaying the opponents at the table. Now, knowing GTO or, approaching this with like an ABC style is really not going to get you too far as you move up. You're going to be playing against better opponents. So you have to mix things up. You have to bluff. There's a lot of nuance to this. And if anybody tells you otherwise, in my opinion, they're full of it because I'm always playing. I've been doing this for like 2 decades now. And yeah, that's why I kind of keep reiterating, man, get in the community. I've got some good insight for you, especially if you're kind of just stuck. Anyways, we completely bricked out here. I wasn't sure if I should go for it, but I think at this point, the only way we're going to take this one down is if I go for some kind of bluff. That ace could have hit player 5 a lot of the time, but, I don't really care. It just felt like he was weak, so I still went for it here. Otherwise, I feel like if we're checking this, it's kind of like we're just losing. So that's why, I went with basically just a pot size here. I was 50-50 on this, but once again, if I just check this over, I was very confident we were going to lose here to even like a weak pair, you know what I mean? Like a pair of 6s or 3s or something, Anyways, we got that one through, and I thought it was kind of nice. All right, next here we got an ace-king off here. We are going to open to the 1250 piece. Pretty standard play. It's going to come back around here, and I think we're going to have 2 callers on this. Now, I was kind of preferring a re-raise in this spot. Would have been good, but... and yeah, let's also... Yeah, we did get a re-raise here, player 2. Okay, so kind of back over to us. Do we want to just flat this? Do we want to re-raise? Or there's always the other option, too, if we want to just jam here. Kind of had to think this one through a little bit. Now, I don't always make this play. The reason is because I prefer ace-king to be suited when I do this, but I still went for it. And he's going to let the clock run on this a little bit. Kind of thinking maybe he's got a hand like pocket jacks or pocket 10s or something, and maybe he's like thinking about it. But he is going to call us down here, and, kind of a funny spot for us because it's just going to be a split pot. Ace-king versus ace-king. That does happen, and totally fine with it. It is what it is, right? Okay, anyways, next one we got another king 9 here. This one's going to be off suit. We are in the big, though, so I'm going to defend a lot of the time here, even though it's not suited, especially now that it's just going to come around to the small blind. Let's also take a look at the players at the table. Player 3 was doing pretty decent, player 2 doing pretty decent, and then, everyone's kind of just floating around at this point, and then we're just trying to make something happen, right? But player 6 is going to kick it up here, and... I actually let this go. The reason I did that was because I did notice player 6 was playing pretty tight for the most part. And I guess I just wasn't feeling it. And sometimes when you're not feeling it, just let it go. And I let it go right there. 9 out of 10 times I'm going to make that call, but I just mucked it, Call it superstitious or whatever, but, whatever. All right, next one we got a 5-6 off here. Not sure if I played this one. Let me see. Player 6 is going to open here pretty small. I'm just going to let this go. Back over to player 3. We would have actually had a pretty nice flop for 5-6 offsuit here with the top pair and the straight draw. But, it's whatever. Player 6 going with a really big continuation here. Look at that. He took it down. Now let's see what that turn would have been. Hopefully not the... Ooh, man. All right. Now I'm definitely regretting folding that 5-6 off. But you got to let it go. We're going to move on from it. All right. Anyways, next one here, we got a king 7 suited. Nice looking hand for sure. This one's very playable on the button. Player 5 is going to open here pretty small. Back over to player 6, who is going to raise it. When he raised it, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. We'll let you take this one. Back over to player 5, who you think would call here after opening, especially at what, first act, you know? Might even expect a re-raise here if this guy's doing like one of those sneaky min things. He's kind of letting the clock run down halfway. Pretty annoying at this point, but nothing we could do about it. All right, he is going to make the call, and we would have missed this flop anyways with the king 7 suited. So feel pretty good about that. Yeah, no idea what either of these guys has. I'd expect somebody to have a couple overcards, and then maybe you're dealing with some kind of like mid pair. Maybe even a low pair here. All right, the ace got there on the turn. All right, now I would expect player 6 to do something here. I'm thinking player 5 might check this over again, and you might be thinking player 6 is repping something like ace king, ace queen kind of thing. So I would expect him to lead out here if he has any of those ace x combos, but he didn't. River card was an ace, so now I'm thinking to myself like, what is going on here? Is it does somebody have an ace? Starting to feel like they don't. Okay. Actually, wouldn't surprise me if this went check check at this point, even though player 5's just taking his sweet time to think about it. Come on now. Really? Man. So annoying. But sometimes you got to deal with this stuff. Part of the game. He went for a super small sizing here on the river. No idea what's going on here. I mean, all right, here's the raise finally. All right, player 6 is going to raise it. So now he's saying he's got the ace, which I kind of expected. Maybe he just checked it over to the river here. Back over to player 5. Player 5, problem is if he is repping a pocket pair, he just kind of put himself in some trouble here, like 10s or something. And to my surprise, that re-raise was with kings. That was just super weird, okay? But so weird. But I mean, I guess that was a good play. Totally confused by that, but we're going to put it past us, okay? All right, anyways, hope you're still with me because, like I said, we do have a big spot coming up here, and I just want you guys to see it, honestly. It was good. All right, king, queen. I am just going to call this from early position after player 6 did the min thing. A lot of mins here. So annoying with the mins. But what can we do, right? Anyways. All right, so we missed this flop, but we still got 2 overs, plus a lot of good turn cards could come. King, queen, even a 10. We also blocking the diamonds here, so this isn't like a terrible flop. We could definitely put some pressure on these two guys here, and I'm pretty sure that's the route I took. I am going to continue here because I just felt like maybe this flop missed both these guys, and we just have a lot of ways we can get there on the turn, and river, honestly. So, and I didn't go like super large here, but good enough to take this one down. So, all right, and we move on. We'll take it. Which brings us up to the Jack 10 suited that we were kind of hinting at to at the beginning of this. Jack 10 suited, it's a very good hand. I wouldn't say that I always do good with it, but in this spot, it is going to get interesting, okay? We're also in the big blind with this, so we're not going anywhere. If anybody wants to raise or re-raise this, we're obviously going to make a call, and we're just going to go from there. But, yeah, I mean, not much else to say. Let's just see if we can hit a nice flop with this. All right, so player 3 is going to kick it up to the 1250 piece. Player 4 is going to get out the way, and then it's going to come back over to player 5, who I believe might have raised this up a little bit more, which, like I said, would be fine. I almost prefer it to get raised up when we got a Jack 10 suited, we're also pretty deep in this where anything can happen, honestly. And he does. He kicked it up to the 55 piece, and I am going to call this. I mean, I got to call it, right? And, we're going to see if we can get something good here. Really would like to see some kind of straight. I would take some kind of flush draw with this too. Either or would be fine. All right, so player three is gonna fold this. It's gonna come back over to. I'm sorry, we're gonna see a flop, but yeah, he is gonna fold this. I was for a second worried he might re-raise, but when I saw this flop, man, I just started licking my lips, man. So we flopped the flush. We still gotta kind of worry about those ace of spades and king of spades that player five could be holding. Very possible. This is one of those flops where I want to make a move now, kind of putting him on that kind of range, of having a spade that he might not be able to get away from. If he's repping a pocket pair, like an overpair to this board, whether it be queens, kings, or something like that, and he's got the spade, how does he fold? I don't think he does. So that was my thinking in this spot anyways, and just gonna wait to see what he does here. I imagine if he does have a spade in his hand, he's gonna continue here. And he went pretty small. Not like super small, but pretty small. That's when I decided, I could just flat this to get to the turn, and maybe it's like a deuce or a three or something, but I wanted to just do this now. And I figured this is probably only going to work maybe like 30 or 40% of the time where he does call us here. But if he does have an overpair with a spade, then I think he's calling every single time here. If he's got the ace of spades in his hand, he's also calling every single time here. And would be huge favorites going to the turn and river. But like I said, I'd expect this to get called down maybe like 30 or 40% of the time. So I know that it's likely he could just fold this. He's going to let the clock run down a little bit on it. It's understandable. It's kind of a big decision. And we're just going to go from there. All right, but he is going to call us. He's going to turn over the ace. He didn't even have a pair here, but he did have the ace of spades, which was just brutal for him. We're going to go to the river here, 84% favorites, and we're going to take down a really good one. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed another one here. I'm going to say one more time, man, if you're just trying to take things a little bit more seriously, it's time to get in the community. Check it out in the pinned comment. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.